Hey everybody, AJ here, and this is Home Brewing with Straight from the Tap. So today we're going to be making an affordable hard apple cider with apple cider from a local orchard. So what I have here, I have my Mr. Beer 2-gallon fermenter, which I have already previously cleaned using my Mr. Beer no rinse cleanser. So super easy to clean. All you do, some hot water, mix in about half a packet of this no rinse cleanser, slosh it all around in there and make sure you get all the edges, and run the rest of that water through that spigot to make sure you get everything clean on the inside. And then you always want to save the other half for when we're going to be bottling. All right, so what I got here, I've got 2 gallons of Linvilla Orchard's best apple cider. So the thing you have to remember most about apple cider is 2 things. You have to make sure that there's no preservatives, because those can throw off the yeast and throw off your flavors. You also have to make sure that if you can find pasteurized apple cider, go for that. It cuts out a step. But if you can't find pasteurized apple cider, what you can do is you can put the apple cider, heat it up to about 160 degrees for 40 to 45 minutes, and that will kill off any extra wild yeast or bacteria that could throw off your flavors of your cider. So from Linvilla Orchards in Media, this is flash pasteurized, so that knocks a step out, and there's no preservatives, which we're all set. So we got our 2-gallon keg fermenter here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pour the apple cider in here. I've got some dry lager yeast from Mr. Beer as well. Lager yeast, a friend of mine brought to my attention that yeast used for brewing beer has to work extra hard to break down the malts and get the sugars out of them so that the bacteria can make alcohol. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep a close eye on this as it's fermenting. It's a bottom fermenting yeast, so what we want to do is we're going to let it sit for 2 weeks optimally for beer. So at the 1 week mark, we're going to check the gravity of it, see where the alcohol content lies, and then we'll go from there. Because for an apple cider, when you're sitting out in the hot sun in the spring or summer day, you don't want to be drinking apple cider that's 9-10% alcohol by volume, because you want to be able to sip something for a while. So we're going to shoot for like a 5%er here. So we're going to use the whole packet here, and we're going to open it up. My hands are a little wet. Yay. Excuse me here. So we're going to sprinkle in our yeast. All right. And the rest is on the yeast. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our cap on the top of our fermenter, and we're going to take it down. We're going to take it, put it in a dark place for a while. We're going to check on it in a week to see what the gravity looks like for the alcohol content. And then we'll take it from there. The longest that we'll probably go is 2 weeks, and then hopefully at that point we'll have some cider. So let's move on down to setting it up. So here we are down here in my basement, and this is where we're going to keep our keg while the yeast ferment the cider. So each different yeast that's available works best at a different temperature. The yeast that we used is a lager yeast, and it works best right around like 55 to 60 degrees. So it's a nice constant temperature down here. It doesn't get too hot. And what we're going to do is, I've learned from previous times that I didn't have my spigot assembly on there the best, and it leaked everywhere, and my basement smelled like a terrible dive bar. So I have here a big old Rubbermaid container, so that, God forbid it does leak, it just leaks right in there and it doesn't make a mess. So we're going to take our 2-gallon keg fermenter with our cider and our yeast in there. I'm going to put it like so in there, and we're gonna put the top on so it makes it nice and dark, because yeast love warmth and darkness, and that's where they thrive the best. So that's where we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it nice and dark in there. We're gonna check on it in a week, and then we're gonna see how our gravity is to see how the alcohol by volume is. So, check back in a little bit. 1. So today is bottling day. Today it's a couple days past 2 weeks only because I've been super busy this past week. So I have all my bottles here. You want enough bottles to be able to hold 250 ounces of beer, cider, whichever you're bottling. So I have 6 1-quart bottles, and I also have a few bottles that I'm recycling to use just to round out my 250. So I have my jug of water here, and what I'm going to do is to clean these bottles, I'm going to use my Mr. Beer No Rinse Cleanser, the second half of the package that we use to clean our fermenter before brewing. So I'm just going to put this all in here. All right, great. Put that in there, and we're going to give it a good shake just so that all the cleanser dissolves in the water equally. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put them in each individual bottle. We're going to slosh it around a little while, make sure all the edges get touched with the cleanser, so that we clean our bottles so that nothing gets messed up with the taste for our cider. So a little bit here. So in case you can't see, my quart bottles here, they all have sealed corks that are part of the bottle, but the bottles that I'm recycling, I'm going to be using my own bottler, or my own bottle capper. So I've evenly distributed all of my cleanser water into my bottles. So I have my quart bottles that have a special little seal on there. So these are all sealed, and I also have my recycled bottles, good catch, with my fresh caps that I'm going to put on there. So these bottles you want to spend the most time cleaning, because you or someone else has previously drank out of them. So you want to shake these babies up real good, get all the edges, and then when you pour the water out of these, you kind of want to just pour it off around the edges of the bottle, obviously since you drank out of it previously. So we're going to give all these bottles a good shake, try to get all the edges, and then after this, what we're going to do, you can look it up online. They have priming sugar, they call it. This is the sugar that makes the carbonation for your cider or your beer. So what we're going to do is we're going to shake these up, clean these up real good. We're going to put a little bit of priming sugar in there so that the leftover yeast that are in the cider, they're going to eat up that sugar, cause carbon dioxide, which carbonates your cider. So, be right back. So we're back down in the basement, pulled the fermenter out of the tub and checked the gravity on it already. So we're sitting at a pretty 5.5% alcohol by volume. Perfect for a cider, right where we wanted it. Got all my clean bottles here, and we're going to start pouring from this little spout here, and we're going to take it up to about just a little bit below the, a little bit above the neck. All right, so let's get pouring. All right, guys, so our cider is all bottled up. We got them in our 32-ounce growler bottles. Also have them in our recycled 12-ounce bottles. Capped them up real good. We're going to put them back in that same container where it's dark. Let the yeast eat up the sugar that we put in there. It's going to create the carbonation. It's going to make one hell of a cider. So, we'll see you in about 10 days or so. 2, 1. All right, so today's the day. I'm just cooking on the grill because it's a beautiful spring day. And you know what? Today is cider day, so we're going to try it out. We're going to see how it tastes, everybody. So I got it right here. Got my beautiful 12-ounce bottle. 12-ounce bottle, look at that. A little bit haze to it, but that's okay. It's a cider, it's allowed to be hazy. And I got my nifty new bottle opener. It's a nice little wrench here. Pop this baby open, hopefully it doesn't break on me. Woo! slightly overcarbonated, but that's okay. So we're just gonna roll with it. So all right, it's milky, but let's try it out, guys. All right, that's one hell of a cider, guys. It's dry, a little bit of sweetness left over. It's only about 5.5%. Yes, it was a little overcarbonated, but that was my fault. That's why you always have to make sure your priming sugar measurements are accurate. So, but this is one hell of a cider. I hope you guys turn out just as good. And you know what? Make sure you hit that subscribe button and put in the comments, see how yours turned out. Okay, so cheers with my Limvilla hard apple cider.